Ubisoft's latest game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, will be coming out soon, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding this game, but I'm not here to talk about all that stuff. I'm here to talk about how they're trying to rip you off. Now, if you go to the Assassin's Creed Shadows website, and you go to the pre-order page, you'll see they provide a variety of options to pre-order the game. That's very nice of them, right? Wrong! The standard edition is $69.99 here in America, and it says that you get 3 things with the standard edition. You get the base game, you get an upcoming expansion, and you get a bonus quest. Wow, that's pretty good. 3 things? But let's be honest, if this was 30 years ago and this game was being released, that would be the game itself. I mean, they're trying to make you think like you're getting 3 things when it's actually 1 thing split into 3 slices, like a pizza. You're just getting the game. That's what it is. I mean, this whole thing with game expansions, I'm not cool with that. I mean, let's take a closer look at some other game expansions. For example, Mortal Kombat 1. Now, that is a critically acclaimed game. And then they came out with a game expansion called Chaos Reigns. Now, as of right now, on the Xbox Store, Mortal Kombat 1 costs $49.99. Okay. You know how much the Chaos Reigns game expansion costs? $49.99. The same as the base game itself. So, this game expansion is not a sequel, because otherwise they would have said it was Mortal Kombat 2. It's also not DLC, because DLC generally doesn't cost $50. So, it's somewhere in the middle, but it's weird they want to charge you the exact same amount as the original game. What a slap in the face. Like you're a dummy or something. And I guess there are a lot of people who are dummies. How about another game, like Elden Ring? Everybody loves Elden Ring, right? So the original game costs $59.99 right now on the Xbox Store. The Shadow of the Erdtree expansion costs $39.99. Again, it's not a sequel, it's just an expansion. So when they're selling you an expansion, they don't want you to think you're getting like a full game experience, because you're not. You're just getting a little bit more above what you already played in the original base game. But they're still going to charge you a pretty big amount of money for something that's really not anywhere near close to a full game experience. I mean, $40. Remember, that's only $20 less than what the original game costs. $40? That's crazy. But that's not where it ends, because now there's another expansion coming called Night Reign. And that also costs $40. So now we have 2 expansions. I mean, how many more expansions are there going to be? Now, some people might like these things, but don't you realize you're getting robbed? When I was a kid, I would have never spent $100 on a single game. I don't care how many expansions and whatever. $100 is nuts. I mean, it's like video game consoles back then, you know, they would cost a couple $100. I'm not paying $100 for 1 game. I don't care how many slices you split it into. Now back to Assassin's Creed Shadows. So they also have the Digital Deluxe Edition. And so you get the Standard Edition plus the Deluxe Pack, whatever that is, and Mastery Points. You know, Mastery Points or virtual currency or whatever other silly name you want to call stuff, it's crazy to me when video game companies want you to pay real money for virtual currency. My brain feels like it's going to explode when I see stuff like that. This has to be a practical joke. Who is going to pay for these silly things? Lots of people, unfortunately. And that's the problem. The people are part of the problem. That's why gaming companies do this kind of stuff. They realize they can take advantage of the lack of intelligence in a lot of consumers. That's the problem. We all pay the price because of the dummies. All these people who are forking over enormous amounts of money for not only games, but gaming consoles. I mean, think about the PS5 Pro. That thing came out and it was like, what, $700? $700 for a console that's all digital. They didn't even give you like the stand that the PS5 should come with, but they don't give you that. I mean, it's like, oh, and they don't even give you a disc drive. That's right, it's all digital. Wow. $700 for that. And the sad thing is people will buy that. That's why they keep doing this stuff. That's why companies do all these crazy things with the live service games. They keep chasing the live service games like Fortnite and whatever makes other companies like, oh wow, we can take away all this cash from these people if we can just come up with a good live service game. But how often do people come up with good live service games? Almost never. It's like 90% of the time they are duds. And we're not done with Assassin's Creed Shadows yet, because they got another option on the pre-order page. But it looks very similar to the option we just looked at, the Digital Deluxe Edition. In fact, it says Digital Deluxe Edition. And if you go to the bottom, it says $17.99. Wow, finally an affordable game. Oh no, that says $17.99 a month. So what is this? This is Ubisoft trying to sneak in an advertisement for their Ubisoft Plus service, because the Digital Deluxe Edition of Assassin's Creed Shadows will be available on day one on Ubisoft Plus if you're a subscriber. And if you're a subscriber, I don't ever want to meet you in my life. I don't care if Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best game of the year. It doesn't matter. Nobody should be paying this amount of money for a single game. And I know Assassin's Creed Shadows is not the only super expensive game. There's so many out there with all different sorts of editions and season passes and virtual currency and things that you can buy like a supercharger or whatever that'll give you all the characters all at once so you don't have to unlock this or unlock that. And, it's like, basically you're paying to save time, which is ridiculous. It's so insulting. I mean, when did video games become the biggest scam, legal scam? Remember, it's all legal because you're voluntarily handing over your hard-earned money for this stuff. And the sad thing is, it's not like ultra rich people who are forking over money for this stuff. No, it's usually just your average human being who is seeking out entertainment, and they're like, well, if that's what it costs, that's what it costs, and then they just buy it. They just go along with it. The price of games and gaming consoles and everything associated with video games has been rising enormously over the past 20 to 30 years. And I know you could say part of it's inflation, but a lot of it's just greed. I mean, it's just plain old greed. Just splitting games into so many different sections so they make you think you're getting a lot of value, but you're not getting a lot of value. You're just getting one game cut up to make you think like you're getting value, which is insulting. It's all insulting. I mean, they're making fun of you. And, it's like if you buy into this stuff and you become one of these whales, that's what they call the people who plunk down tons of cash into a single game, and that's really what's funding this whole scam industry. So if you're one of these whales, I mean, I just don't like you, because eventually people like me have to pay the price for that. That's why when it comes to video games, I'm really conscious of how much I pay for them. I usually only buy things when they're on massive sales, like 80% off, 90% off. Like, for example, I bought the UFC 5 video game, Ultimate Edition. I got it for $10. Even though the Ultimate Edition, I believe, was on sale for more than $100, originally. So if I could get it for $10, I'll pay $10. 90% off, that sounds good to me. I'll pay $10 for a game that came out not too long ago. It's that's what you're supposed to do. And that's how I approach video game buying. I don't buy video games day one, typically, especially these days, because a lot of times it's hit or miss with these, big, mega $1 million, multi-year projects that finally come out and then they let everybody down most of the time. It's very rare that a game that was in development for so many years and so many people worked on it and it was very expensive to develop. It's very rare that it comes out and everybody's like, wow, this really is the greatest game ever. So that's why I don't buy games day one. Coming up in the not too distant future, are there certain games that I would love to play? Yeah, like Metal Gear Solid Delta, that's going to come out at some time this year. Now, am I going to pre-order it? No. Am I going to buy it on day one? No. I want to see what happens first. Let's see some reviews. Are there going to be technical issues on day one? Let's see what the world thinks of the game first, and then maybe I'll get it on sale at the end of the year during the holidays. I can wait. Let's all be patient for sales. I know there's going to be a Perfect Dark remake coming out at some point, but luckily I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which I actually realized is a really great value if you do play at least a couple of video games a year. I mean, you're really, it all pays for itself. If you play like a couple of recent video games, it's totally worth it. I actually sat down and thought about it. But that'll be on Game Pass, so I don't got to worry about that. I know there's going to be a Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake from Ubisoft, the same company that makes Assassin's Creed Shadows. I do want to play that game. I think there's going to be a Splinter Cell remake, also from Ubisoft, and I want to play that too. But definitely not pre-ordering any of these. I'm going to be smart about how I buy video games, and you should be smart about it too. So one day, the smart gamers will be making the decisions around here, and not the dummies and the whales.